So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to Roma Theory, because we've got some fairly important Memphis Depay updates when it comes to the Roma's transfer market, especially looking at this January window. But obviously, before getting into this stream, before speaking about Memphis Depay, it's a very sad day, and we can't not touch on Cristiano Ronaldo's last World Cup game. Football is football. Anything can happen in this game, and this is why it's called a beautiful game. But it is disappointing. It's sad. I'd lie to if I said I wasn't very, very sad after that match. In fact, I almost cried, because it's crazy to think that that was the last match that we will ever see of Cristiano Ronaldo in a World Cup. But it's one of those sports where you win, you lose, and it's one of those tournaments where a draw doesn't exist. So you either continue on to your dreams, or unfortunately, in this case, you either just crash out of the tournament in a matter of seconds. Unfortunately, the goalkeeper did be quite bottled it. Let's be honest. But fair play to Ronaldo. I think he's been so disrespected in this last stage of his career. He's been humiliated. He's been socially abused, if we can use that term. And I think he doesn't deserve all of that, because I think when it comes to speaking about Cristiano Ronaldo, and just not just Ronaldo, players, sportsmen like him, I think before speaking about these players, before actually shedding criticisms onto these players, we have to think of who we are. We are no one, and who are we to start criticizing, to start hating on Cristiano? But it's the end of his World Cup dreams. Unfortunately, he couldn't bring it home, but I'm sure he'll give it his absolute all in the Euro 2024 coming up. Anyways, in the meantime, obviously France is playing England. Indeed, France up 1-0 with Tchouaméni on the score sheet. But we've got some big Memphis Depay updates, because what feels is gonna happen is the fact that I genuinely think Memphis Depay is a big priority in this January window. And I know I've said this already, but I think we are getting confirmations from many different sources that Memphis Depay is the player which Mourinho wants to target the most, and which Mourinho will put most pressure on the board to try and sign in January. Now, we have actually got a Spanish source, a Spanish newspaper called The Sport, which is actually saying that the contacts between Memphis Depay, his agents, and Roma are actually in advanced talks, and that the stage of the talks is actually pretty advanced. Now, this obviously is a newspaper. I'm gonna read the quote to you in a minute, but this newspaper is a big Spanish source, because it's a newspaper which works very closely to the Catalan clubs, to the Catalan club. They work very, very closely to Barcelona. They know the Barcelona environment really well. They work with ex-Barcelona staff members, potentially ex-Barcelona players as well. So this is definitely something to mention. But this is their quote, which says, as I just said, that there seems to be advanced talks between the two sides. The Sport newspaper in these hours insists on the possible Memphis Depay Roma deal for January. According to the newspaper, which is very close to the events of the Catalans, the contacts between the Giallorossi and the entourage of the Dutch attacker would in fact already be in an advanced stage, with the former Lyon player totally out of Xavi's plans and determined to leave the club. Now again, it's a pretty big source if we look at it and the way this source works, what they work around. This is a source which is very close to Barcelona, and Memphis Depay is a Barcelona player. Now, the contacts between the two sides, what effectively is being said by this source, is that they're very close, and obviously Depay has been playing the World Cup since yesterday night, so Depay's priority was definitely not listening to all of this behind the scenes when it comes to his transfer. Now that Depay is out of the World Cup, I definitely expect the two sides to further contact each other, potentially involving Memphis Depay in the contacts as well. But yeah, I mean, it's basically essentially saying how the two sides are getting closer and closer, and that the stage of this deal has moved to advanced talks. Now, obviously, this is the only source which has mentioned this. We don't have multiple sources confirming this, but obviously the fact that this is a very closely related Barcelona, Barca FC newspaper is definitely promising. Now, again, Depay is... I'm gonna say this again, but I'm really getting the impression Depay is Mourinho's priority, and I think Mourinho's doing whatever he can to try and bring it at Roma. I do think the competition is high. I do think a lot of teams are interested in Depay. The big one being Manchester United, but again, I mean, looking at the Manchester United past, right? They have looked at buying old players, old ex-Man United players several times, and it has never worked out. So according to that pattern, I don't think Man United will prepare the final assault to sign Memphis Depay. I definitely think if it means scoring more goals, I think it's a good call. I mean, we have to score more goals. The only solution for the way we play, which is a very bad style of play, the only solution to kind of saving and defending the way we play is if we score more goals. Because if we play like this, but score more goals, then it wouldn't be as dramatic. If we play like this, suffer every game, don't have really massive tactics, but at the end of the day, manage to score a lot of goals, and especially manage to finalize on all the chances that we create, then the situation won't be this dramatic. I just think it's really a matter of bagging the goal at the back of the net. Because again, the only way to advance onto the next stages of the Europa League, onto the getting deep into that top four fight in the league, is turning up in big games. And turning up in big games means actually scoring goals and not sitting back and basically park the bus for 90 minutes. Now, we've seen this happen sometimes. We've seen Roma try to react against better teams, but we really just lack that quality up front. And Depay could bring the goals. And I just think if we bring the goals back in the team, I think we could potentially lift the situation, which isn't a great situation, may I add, up high, and I think everything will be more enjoyable. But I mean, the competition will be high. It's not going to be easy to sign Memphis Depay. But I think pressure again, just like any other deal at the end of the day. I think actually bombarding him with phone calls. I mean, yeah, to some limits. Actually, insisting on him, actually, Mourinho showing that he really wants him will play a big part. Because just like a few players which we already bought, Depay is a player which has been really cancelled out of the center of attention, if you see what I mean. At Barcelona, he fell in the background of everything. He's not the center of everything. He's not what the fans look like, what the manager wants. Basically, Barcelona are done with Memphis Depay. And I think Depay is another one of those players which needs attention, which needs to be at the center of much. And again, I think you put him next to Dybala, next to Nico, and next to Tammy, I think you're starting to form a big attacking side. And again, I mean, speaking about Depay, this will also further encourage... I mean, we could have two sides to this. We buy Depay and it further kind of pushes Tammy to perform better, because otherwise he knows that Depay will ship his position. But we could also have a completely different solution. We could also have the other end of the story, which is Depay comes in and Tammy gets even more at the back of everything after the arrival of Dybala, and basically in June it's inevitable that we will sell him. I think if we buy Depay in January, I think a lot of what kind of evolves around Tammy will change. Because yes, it could be argued that Tammy will start performing and has to start performing better. Because otherwise, you know, Depay is better than Belotti. Depay has got more experience than Belotti. And I think if we buy Depay and Tammy starts maybe turning up to more games, I think that's the end for Belotti. I think Belotti will leave the club this summer. But yeah, I think the Depay move can also further kind of push more players to perform better. But again, it could also have a negative impact on players like Tammy, because he could easily steal their position. I mean, if he plays well, he has to steal their position. So yeah, when it comes to the strategy that Roma is adopting, we talked about this in the last live stream, but I'll quickly mention it again. Roma are planning to loan him out in January, see how it goes, and if it goes really well, Roma are planning to permanently buy him from Barcelona in the summer. So yeah, that's the end of the conclusion. Speaking about, I mean, if it is true that the two sides are in advanced talks, if it is true that the two sides are constantly talking with each other, if we have Mourinho, which is playing a big part in this, then I genuinely think this deal can be completed in January. Again, there's a lot of competition for Depay. But if we insist on him, or we're showing that he will be appreciated at the club, we are showing him that we really want him, and Depay right now is lacking confidence. So that will definitely be a good stage when it comes to signing him. So yeah, I mean, Depay, this is the situation. Again, I'll further update you if we have more steps to the situation. But these are definitely massive steps, especially if this Spanish source, which is close to Barcelona, is actually speaking facts here, then we could have the two sides finding an agreement very soon. But yeah, again, I do still think that some negotiations still have to continue, and especially some calls, contacts will definitely have to continue. It's not going to be an easy deal. We have to, if we really want him, we have to show Barcelona that we're intended and we are in a position to negotiate with them. Otherwise, I think we have to say goodbye to Depay as well. But that's the story with many of our players. So yeah, I mean, another thing which I'll add, which links to our Portugal tour, which will start in a couple of days. The team is leaving the 15th of December for Portugal, the same destination, I believe, as this summer. The 16th, they're going to play their first friendly game against Cadiz. And then another friendly game has been announced today, which I believe is the 21st of December, against a team which is the hardest team to pronounce. They play for the Eredivisie. Their name is Walwijk. WAALWIJK. Whatever that means. I think it's a town, but that will definitely be our second friendly game, which has been confirmed in our Portugal tour. Anyways, I will let you go and enjoy the second half of the France against England World Cup quarterfinal. I mean, we've had a lot of surprises, I'll be honest with you. What do we have? Argentina, Croatia, Brazil out, obviously. My prediction went completely out of the window. I actually as probably everyone here predicted Brazil to win. Cristiano out. It's definitely a weird World Cup. It's definitely a different World Cup because we have Argentina, Croatia, and as of now, at time of speaking, France against Morocco in the semi-finals. But yeah, interesting World Cup. We'll see who lifts it. I do think France are the favourites. And I did not like Argentina's reaction to the Netherlands game. In fact, I'll be very honest here. I love the Argentinians. I think their passion of football is something incredible. The fact that they view football as a religion is something admirable, but their reaction to the Netherlands has been very unprofessional. And I'd lie to you if I said I did not lose respect for that Argentina side. I did not like the way they reacted. You're professional. You don't act like that. You are not a little kids. You're playing in a World Cup. You've got billions of eyes watching you, especially billions of kids who look to become football players. That is not the way you show how to respect your opponents. So yeah, I'm not going to root for Argentina. I'm going to root for Croatia if I'm not. Yeah, I think Croatia. Or Morocco. Yeah, it's either going to be Croatia or Morocco. I root for the dark horses, as obviously as an Italian whose team is not in the World Cup. I mean, whoever wins, I'll be happy. But yeah, hopefully a dark horses wins it. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, please make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, let me know in the comments your feelings on this Depay situation, on this Depay deal. Do you think Depay will sign for us? Do you think the contacts, will accelerate in these next couple of weeks, especially now that Depay is out of the World Cup? He's definitely going to think about his future more. So yeah, let me know everything in the comments. If you have any questions, I'll be very curious to read and respond to all of your comments. As I mentioned this before, this week I will, if it's not this week, it's next week, I'll announce the Christmas giveaway on the channel. So yeah, for a chance to win something related to Roma, what will it be? Well, I'll tell you in a bit. But all you need to do right now is be subscribed, turn the bell notifications on, and smash every single live stream that you come in contact with. And yeah, I'll catch you tomorrow with more Roma updates. Simon out.